He went into the basement for old toys, but came out with a stranger's face in the mirror. I remember that moment as clearly as if it happened 5 minutes ago, not 3 days. My husband, Ethan, had always been a man with soft features, slightly chubby cheeks, a dimple in his chin, and eyes that always smiled, even when he was angry. We were preparing to move, and he went down to fetch the box with the train set for our son, Noah. He was gone for about 20 minutes. When he came up, creaking the door shut, I was standing in the hallway, wiping dust off the mirror. He walked past me, brushed my shoulder, without even excusing himself. I looked at his reflection. It wasn't Ethan looking back at me in the mirror. His features were there, yes. The nose, the ears, the hair color. But the expression, it was alien. His skin looked stretched too tight, like a mask ready to crack. His lips were pressed into a thin, cruel line. And his eyes, they were empty, like 2 deep wells, yet filled with some ancient, cold malice. I blinked, thinking it must be the light playing tricks. "Ethan?" I called out. He stopped, without turning around. His back was unnaturally straight. "The box," he said. His voice was muffled, as if coming from underground. "I couldn't find it." "All right," I mumbled, feeling a chill run down my spine. "We'll look for it later." The nightmare began that evening. Ethan sat down for dinner but didn't touch his food. He just stared at Noah. Our 6-year-old son, usually noisy and cheerful, fell silent under that gaze. Noah shrank into his chair, eyes fixed on his plate. "Dad, what's wrong?" he asked quietly. Ethan smiled slowly. It wasn't a father's smile. It was a predator's snarl, assessing its prey. "I don't think you need toys, Noah," he said. "Toys make children weak." That night, I woke up to a strange sound. A dragging scrape. I opened my eyes and saw that Ethan wasn't in bed. The sound was coming from the hallway. I crept out of the bedroom. The door to our son's room was ajar. In the strip of light from the nightlight, I saw my husband. He was standing over Noah's sleeping form. In his hands was an old, heavy sledgehammer, the one usually kept in that very basement. He was just standing there, gently rocking the hammer, as if taking aim. My heart stopped. I should have screamed, rushed him, snatched the weapon away. But I froze. Fear paralyzed me. And then came a thought, horrifyingly clear: if I scream now, he will strike. If I try to stop him, he will kill us both. Instead of screaming, I took a step back, into the shadow. I chose silence. I chose survival, hoping he was just standing there. Ethan suddenly turned his head. He couldn't see me in the dark hallway, but he was staring right into my eyes. His face in the dim light twisted, his features swimming as if made of wax. "You know what's down there, don't you?" he whispered, addressing not me, but the emptiness. You know what I let out. He lowered the hammer and walked out of the room, passing me as if I were furniture. I remained standing, trembling all over, realizing I had let something terrifying into our home, and my choice to remain silent had just sealed our doom. The next day dissolved into a sticky, gray swamp of dread. I tried to act normally, convincing myself the night scene was a dream, that it was stress from the move. But Ethan made it impossible. He no longer spoke to us. He walked through the house, rearranging objects. He turned all the photographs face to the wall. The flowers on the windowsill withered in a single morning, turning black as if soaked in acid. I tried to call his mother to ask if he'd ever had episodes like this before. But the phone was dead. The wires were torn out of the wall. My cell phone was gone. Are you looking for something, Clara? His voice cut in right behind my ear. I jumped. He stood so close I could smell him. It was the scent of damp, mold, and old earth. The smell of our basement. No, I breathed out. Just checking the time. We have time, he said, and his hand rested on my neck. His fingers were icy cold. He squeezed them slightly harder than an affectionate touch required. Time for purification. He forced me to go down into the basement with him. I resisted, digging my heels in, but he was inhumanly strong. Look, he commanded, throwing me onto the concrete floor. The basement had changed. Our possessions were scattered everywhere, broken, ripped apart. And amidst the chaos stood a large, antique mirror in a heavy frame, one we had planned to throw away. The glass was cloudy, but something was moving within it. Shadows. Swirling, black shadows that beat against the glass from the inside. This is my family now, Ethan said, looking into the mirror with affection. They want to come out. And for that, they need space. Space in this world. I realized he wasn't talking about physical space. He needed bodies. Ethan, please, I pleaded, crawling at his feet. It's us. Your wife, your son. He looked at me with genuine bewilderment. Ethan is not here, foolish woman. He stayed there, he nodded toward the mirror. I merely occupied an empty shell. He was weak. He was afraid of responsibility, afraid of life. I am not. I tried to hit him, to claw at his face, but he shoved me away like a rag doll. I hit my head on a shelf, and spots swam before my eyes. You must prepare the boy, he said coldly. Tonight. One body for one, the other for the other. You will stay and watch. He locked me in the basement. I heard the bolt slide shut. I was alone in the darkness, with the pulsating mirror from which whispers emanated, and the agonizing knowledge that my son was upstairs alone with the monster. Every minute spent here brought the inevitable closer. I beat on the door, screaming until my voice gave out, but no one came. I slumped to the floor, feeling utterly powerless. I had lost. Several hours passed. The whispering from the mirror grew louder, more insistent. It felt as though the shadows were about to break through the glass. Suddenly, I heard footsteps overhead. The basement door opened. Noah stood on the threshold. "Mom?" His tiny voice trembled. "Noah. Run." I croaked. "Run out of the house." But he didn't run. He started coming down the stairs. Ethan followed him like a shadow. "He came himself," my husband said with satisfaction. "He feels the call." Noah came up to me and hugged me. I pulled him close, shielding him from the monster and the mirror. "Don't be scared," Noah whispered in my ear. "I know the secret." I looked at my son in surprise. His eyes didn't hold the primal fear I expected to see. There was a strange, adult determination. "What secret, sweetie?" "Dad didn't just go down yesterday," he whispered quickly, while Ethan slowly approached the mirror, starting some ritual, muttering words in an unfamiliar guttural language. He wasn't looking for toys. He was looking for Grandpa's old diaries. He wanted to ask for power. He had problems at work, big debts you didn't know about. He wanted to sell us. I froze. My world tilted. This wasn't chance. Not a demonic possession that simply seized an innocent man. Ethan had come here himself. He knew what he was doing. "He made a deal," Noah continued. "But they tricked him. They took him immediately." At that moment, Ethan turned around. His face glowed with triumph. "It's time," he growled. "Boy, come to the glass." It seemed like the end. But then I remembered a detail I had missed in my panic. The mirror. The old, cracked mirror. We wanted to throw it out because Grandma used to say that bad luck lived in the cracks. But if Ethan himself summoned this, if he voluntarily gave up his body. I looked at my husband. "No," at the entity. "You can't take him," I said loudly, standing up. The entity laughed. "Who will stop me? You?" "No. The rules," I bluffed, clinging to snippets of fairy tales and intuition. "Ethan gave himself up for his debts. But Noah owes nothing. The deal was for one soul only." The entity froze. The shadows in the mirror churned, hissing. "He is my blood," the entity roared. "I have the right." "Ethan is dead," I stated firmly. "And you are just a parasite. You have no blood." At that moment, Ethan's face rippled. He clutched his head and screamed. It was an inhuman wail of pain. It seemed I had found a crack in its armor. But then he took his hands away from his face. Clever, he hissed. But you are wrong. Ethan did not die. He is there, he pointed a finger at the mirror. And he desperately wants to return. If you smash the mirror, you will kill his soul forever. Choose, Clara. Save your son, or save your husband. It was a trap. If I did nothing, he would take Noah. If I attacked the mirror, I would become the murderer of my husband, the Ethan I loved, even if he was weak and made a mistake. I stood facing an impossible choice, feeling the floor drop out from under me. Down at the very bottom of despair, I looked into the mirror. Through the haze and shadows, I saw him. The real Ethan. He was beating against the glass from the other side, his mouth open in a silent scream. He looked pathetic. Scared. Just as he always was when faced with difficulties, hiding, looking for easy ways out, even if those ways led to darkness. And then it hit me. The realization was sharp as a scalpel. I remembered the look in his eyes before he went down to the basement yesterday. A guilty, shifty glance. He wasn't going for toys. He was going to betray us to save himself from debt. He had already made his choice. He was ready to sacrifice us for his own comfort. My pity evaporated. Only a cold, ringing maternal fury remained. You say I must choose? I asked, taking a step toward the mirror. The entity in my husband's body smirked, anticipating my surrender. It thought I couldn't kill the man I loved. Yes, it purred. Return my husband to me, and perhaps I'll leave the boy, for a while. I shifted my gaze to Noah. He stood by the wall, pale, his fists clenched. He understood everything. Ethan made his choice when he came down here, I said softly. Now it's my turn. I grabbed the heavy sledgehammer from the floor, the very one he had threatened our son with last night. The weight of the metal in my hand gave me confidence. No, the entity shrieked, lunging toward me. But it was too late. I did not strike the entity. I swung with all my might and hit the center of the mirror. The clang was deafening. It felt as though the air itself had shattered. A web of cracks instantly covered the surface, and with a horrifying shriek, the glass crumbled onto the concrete. Black smoke burst from the shards, immediately dissipating under the basement lamps. The entity in Ethan's body froze. Its eyes widened. It opened its mouth, trying to speak, but only a dry rasp emerged from its throat instead of words. Ethan's body began to slump, as if air were being let out of it. The skin turned gray before my eyes, dissolving into dust. His clothes sagged over a rapidly desiccating skeleton. A minute later, only a pile of dust and my husband's old clothes lay on the floor. Silence descended upon the basement. Noah and I stood and stared at what remained of a father and a husband. I felt no grief. Only a strange, bitter emptiness and relief. I took my son's hand. His palm was warm and alive. "Let's go," I said. "We need to pack. We are leaving right now." We went upstairs, leaving the basement door open. I knew I would never go down there again. Passing the hallway mirror, I caught a glimpse of my reflection. A woman with a hard gaze and tightly compressed lips stared back at me. There was no fear in her eyes anymore, only cold steel. I recognized that face. It was the face of someone who survived by killing a part of herself. I fixed my hair, grabbed the keys, and, without looking back, walked out of the house where love had died long before the cursed glass shattered.